Hello, New Life on a Homestead Community. Today we are going to be working on sprays and traps to kill Japanese beetles. If you grow broccoli, cabbage, a host of any other crops, you have no doubt dealt with Japanese beetles. They are incredibly hard to kill, and they can destroy a crop in a matter of days. As you can see the pictures of taken Sunday of our broccoli patch, it was picture perfect, like something out of a gardening catalog. But today, which is Thursday, well, actually I took the pictures last night, Wednesday, there were just skeletal remains of what was a beautiful broccoli crop left. So today I'm going to be working on different ways to naturally treat the Japanese beetle infestation, and all the same traps, and well, most of the same traps, but all the same sprays work equally well on cabbage lopers or whatever you happen to call the cabbage bugs and worms where you live that can take out a cabbage crop quickly also. This first herbicide is very easy to make. You do 1 cup of vegetable oil, 1 cup of rubbing alcohol, and 1 teaspoon. I tend to go a little heavy and do closer to a tablespoon, unlike the directions when I first saw this recipe. It seems to work a little better. So up to 1 tablespoon of liquid Dawn. This needs to be applied in the morning hours or before the temperature is 9 degrees, because you squirt it or spray it right on your plants and it can scorch them. If you do it in the heat of the day, it's best when there's still a little morning dew to mix in with it to make it a little bit more diluted. I tend to put in a little extra water just in case, instead of the 1 quart ratio to those ingredients that I just mentioned. And also I temper my rubbing alcohol. I always make a double batch because we have quite a few rows of crops, and I use 1 cup of rubbing alcohol and 1 cup of witch hazel instead of 2 of the rubbing alcohol in my double batches. It works just as well in my experience, and I don't have the problems with scorching of my plants. So I've already measured out the 1 cup of cooking oil and the 1 cup of rubbing alcohol. So I'm going to pour them in here to my container, which has a little more than 2 quarts water. And next I'm going to put in the liquid dishwashing soap. You can use any kind that you want. I favor Blue Dawn. I use that for all kinds of recipes for first aid type items and preventatives with fleas and ticks and insects with our livestock, and in the spray I make for the human members of our survival homestead. So I tend to use Blue Dawn for everything. There's 1 tablespoon. I'll go ahead and do another one. Sorry about the little bit of fluctuation here. My tripod broke, but a new one is on the way from Amazon. Here we go with the second one. And now I'm going to add in my witch hazel, since I've already done a cup of rubbing alcohol. You could use just witch hazel if you're worried about scorching. Oh, not quite enough. We'll do a little extra rubbing alcohol. But I think the combination of the two works better. I don't think that the witch hazel on its own is strong enough to deter the beetles, which are so incredibly hard to kill. And as you're sprinkling this on these plants, as always, watch for the beetles. The one sure way to get rid of them is spend umpteen hours in your garden picking the adults off of your plants. 1 more cup of cooking oil. This is what the mixture looks like. It's a little fuzzy and foamy, but that's okay. You want to be a bit soapy. It's kind of like an organic soap. You can make those with Castile soap, which work incredibly well. If you live in a rural area, Castile soap is hard to find, and it's rather expensive. So now that this is all stirred together, I usually use it immediately, but it could keep for several days or up to a week without really losing any potency, but it's best just to mix it up as you need it. And now that it's mixed, I can put it into a agricultural spray bottle, or just walk down the road with this lid and the lid that goes on this little iced tea container and pour a little on each plant. What I usually do if I'm treating just a row at a time and don't have a big barrel that's made, which I have done before, I just use an empty milk jug and I poke some holes in the top of the cap and you sprinkle it like a salt shaker. You want to treat the leaves evenly. It's very easy to get a lot in the top leaves and not all the other ones. You can gently, very gently rub it onto the leaves. We just want a light coating and a sprinkling, as you'll see when we move down to the garden and apply it in one of the following videos.